on the conversation and take it from there. So we're now live. So my name is Andrew, and I am here with Danielle, who we're going to shine the spotlight on today, and we're going to talk about some of the really cool things she's been doing in her business and some of the breakthroughs that she's had this past year, because this has been a really big year for you. I was really inspired. You know, you were featured in our goal setting post on the blog a few weeks ago, and you just really took the information in the Ignition program about getting really smart with your goals, and just have been crushing your goals this year. So tell us a little bit about, just to get started, tell us about this year and some of the breakthroughs you've had, and just kind of bring us up to speed on what's been going on in your business.
Sure. Well, just for a little background for anyone who hasn't read that Smart Goals post, at the beginning of the year, I was happy because I was making more money than I'd made in a long time. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I have 5 kids. And, so I was just happy to have money coming in, and I was happy that my business was growing. And when the Ignition program came out in January, I made my SMART goals. And I thought, gosh, what if I could make this amount of money? And I'll even tell you, my first thought was, I was making like $700 a month. And I was like, wow, what if I could make $1,000 a month? That would be really great. Then I was like, wow, what if I could make $1,500 a month? That would be really great. What if I could make $2,000? What if I could make $2,500? Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, well, I haven't, my husband is the primary breadwinner. And so, I just have never made that much money. I've been home taking care of kids all these years and just, having a business on the side. So I put my SMART goals into place and started working on it. And lo and behold, I blew by the first goal, I blew by the second goal, I blew by the third goal, and it just kept growing and growing and growing. And so now I'm way past, I'm working on double my biggest goal of what I had for March of this year. So that's huge. I mean, I'm just in a totally different place now, as far as, my business, my income, my expertise, my confidence in myself, my confidence in my knowledge and my skill set and my ability to execute, and to really think of myself as a business owner. And actually that's a shift. I'm sure we'll talk about this more. I'm now starting to think of myself, instead of just being an entrepreneur and a freelancer, I'm thinking of myself as a business owner and how I'm going to move to that next level. So that's huge. That's considering, we're talking like, less than 9 months that's happened. So
yeah. And that's actually what's going to be my next question, is to kind of walk us through the timeline, because there was a period of time in which, and I forget how long you've been a student of Elite Marketing Pro, but there was a period of time where you were learning a lot, and then there was a period of time where you just went into like implementation overdrive. So just kind of give us an idea of kind of what that timeline looks like.
Well, I started with Elite Marketing Pro. Actually, it's been almost 3 years. It was like December 2012, January 2013. Like I joined when it was still a beta program. The program didn't even exist at that point. And that was when I was brand new to online marketing. I knew absolutely nothing. All of this was a foreign language to me. And so as the tools came out, it took a few months for things, probably about 6 months or so, for the tools to be rolled out in EMP and, all of the things. And so I was learning all of those things. And then, the reality is that life got in the way. We moved, and then we moved again. And, I have 5 kids, and, so like I wasn't implementing things the way I wanted to. And so it really was really in January of this year when things started to settle down in my life, and I was like, okay, it's time. I'm ready to move forward. And so really the serious implementation has been this year in 2015.
Got it. So you went from January to today, which we're now like towards the end of September this year. So you went from like $700 a month to now, I mean, I think the latest I heard, you've broken through like $5K a month. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's where I'm at now.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. So in this process, you mentioned, and this definitely happens. Sometimes life gets in the way. Sometimes, you move. All this stuff is happening. So clearly, you were learning a lot during that period of time. And then what were some of the big shifts that happened this year, both in terms of, I'm sure there was some mindset stuff, breaking through. You mentioned earlier, now you're really starting to think of yourself as a business owner. So I know there was mindset stuff along the way and implementation stuff. So what were some of the really big changes that you noticed along, the past, 9 months of this year?
Yeah. Well, one of those was a conversation that I had with Chef Katrina. And, when I first started, I thought of myself as a $10 an hour person. And in fact, there was a time maybe 2 years ago that I was going to go down to a store and get a $10, actually it wasn't even a $10 an hour job. It was, going to be like $8.75 an hour. And I thought, well, at least I'd have some solid money coming in and that would help. And, there was just something inside of me that said, no, you know too much and you need to implement what you know, and you can make a lot more than that. So I thought of myself as a $10 an hour person. And then I had a shift to where I was thinking of myself as a $50 an hour person. And so I thought, well, what could I do that would make me a $50 an hour person? Because the work I was doing, it wasn't going to be $50 an hour work. So I made some changes in my offers and started doing $50 an hour work. And then this spring, I had this conversation with Katrina, and she said, that's great. $50 an hour is great, but you're not a $50 an hour person. You're a $500 an hour person. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay. Okay. So then I thought, okay, well, the offers that I have right now are not $500 an hour offers. So what's my next step to get to that point? And so I put my thinking cap on and came up with some other offers. And, immediately, like overnight, I went to $100 an hour work. And, with those new offers and the new things that I was doing. And so now that's been like 3 months since I came up. Yeah, probably three months or so since I came up with those offers. And now I'm looking at the next phase of that development, which is developing some back end offers to that, which will be $500 an hour offers. And I'm actually having people trying to recruit me to do those things. They're like, they've seen the work that I've put out. And I've actually had 4 separate people that are trying to recruit me to do their work for them at that price point.
That's super cool. One thing that, we hear a lot in personal development is, that we kind of have this internal barometer of our self-worth. And it sometimes takes, some pushing to move that needle of whether it's an annual figure or an hourly figure. A lot of people kind of have a comfort zone, and pushing beyond that is just, it's not something that they've spent a lot of time entertaining. So that is super, super cool to hear. I love that aspect of your story. The next thing I'd like to dig into is one thing that's really awesome about you, and one thing that we really encourage our affiliates to think about and implement, is taking their own skills and whatever kind of career they're coming from and leveraging that in their marketing, making themselves unique and creating unique offers, which is something that you've done a very excellent job of. So do you want to tell us a little bit about the kind of niche you're in and the kind of offers you're creating, and a little bit about that whole process?
Sure. I've been an editor for about 14 years now. And for a long time, I came, the attraction to EMP for me and learning online marketing was to promote my network marketing company, which I adore. And so that was my initial thought process and my initial motivation. And I always kept my editing on the side because I've done it for so long. I'm really good at it. It's something that I could do from home. And I kept pushing it aside and keeping it small on purpose and saying, no, this isn't my business. This isn't my business. This isn't my business. My business is affiliate marketing and, and network marketing. And so I finally, and in the process, in fact, to be 100% honest with you, my SMART goals that I wrote on my piece of paper up there on the wall were that I would get to, my goal dollar amount and I would stop my editing. And that was my thing. And then I had this aha moment of, that is my skill set and I'm really good at it. And it's, you know, the demand for that is increasing. Why would I push that away? And so that was my moment when I thought, okay, hold on. I've spent all this time. I've spent 2 years learning marketing skills. Why would I not apply my marketing skills to my editing business? And so the combination of thinking of higher dollar offers for myself, the obvious answer was to put my marketing knowledge together with my editing knowledge. And so out of that was born my LinkedIn offers. And so I revamp people's LinkedIn profiles. And so that put me in a different category of clientele. That put me in a different category of expertise. That put me in a different category of, you know, what people are willing to pay, what they want, and what they need on the back end. And so that has been, you know, it's been really cool. And now the lead into my higher ticket offers that I'm developing right now is that people need marketing. And so that leads into affiliate work, that leads into, you know, all the marketing training that I've had all these years. So it all fits together. And so I started saying this in this spring when, you know, when things really started picking up for me, that you can take any skill that you have, you can take any interest that you have, you can take any business that you have and apply your marketing skills to it, and you have a new offer. Because there are people in every single niche, in every business, in every industry, there are people that need to know how to market that. And so whatever it is that you do, apply that marketing skill, put it together, and you have an offer. You have a saleable offer that there are people waiting to buy from you.
Yeah, that's. I was actually just talking about this very subject this morning. The big wins happen when you're one of the early, early voices in a particular niche. And just like you said, if you're taking marketing knowledge and you're going into a niche where they don't have a very sophisticated level of marketing knowledge, you can really stand out. So I love the idea. I mean, I'm sure, and of course your success goes to show that there are people that need to really optimize their LinkedIn profiles, and they're just really not sure how to do that. And so, you know, there you are. You're like, I know exactly how to market you, and I know, of course, how to market me to you. And so it's very, very cool to go into a place where competition is low. You're leveraging your skills and your skill set and your background. And you know, we have people coming from all kinds of. I'm always shocked when I talk to our affiliates. We have people, really talented people from all kinds of industries. I mean, everything from folks working in oil extraction and computer science, and I mean chemistry. I mean, just like all over the place. Pilots. I mean, you know, I've spoken with so many people, and it's like, you guys have so much awesome skills and knowledge to share, and so yeah, we love the fact that the principles that you're learning and the strategies can apply in the way that you just described. It's very, very cool.
Yeah, they do. They totally do. And that's what I've always called EMP my marketing university. And, you know, that it's a wealth of knowledge, and the processes are the same, and it doesn't matter where you apply them. In fact, you know, the more places you apply them, the better. So, but it works. It's marketing knowledge, and it works.
That's awesome. So you have learned, you've had some really cool takeaways from this experience. And I know one that you mentioned was, you know, you've seen people that, you know, your clients who are in, you know, various spaces. You know, I'm sure that, you know, folks that want their LinkedIn profile optimized and you know, they want your back end officer, you know, they're probably in all kinds of different spaces. And you've seen people that are successful. You've seen people that are you know, making money and in whatever kind of capacity and whatever, you know, makes sense for that particular space, but they're doing it imperfectly. And I loved that notion of imperfect action still creating results.
Yeah, that's totally true. You know, I work on people's sales pages, I work on blog posts, I work on, you know, marketing materials, I work on website text, I work on, you know, LinkedIn profiles, I work on all of those things. And some of them are horrifically bad. And I mean, really bad. And I think, oh my gosh, how are you doing business? But they have a successful business going. And, you know, there's one lady that I've been doing a lot of business with. In fact, I'll give you a couple of examples. One lady had a son, actually two of her children that suffered, got involved with drugs and alcohol and had addiction problems. And so as a mother, she didn't know where to turn. And so she, and she found that there weren't resources. So speaking to the fact of being, an early adopter and being a voice for people that don't have a market, she developed this program through, counselors and, all these different, 12-step programs. And she cobbled together this program to help not only the kids, but really specifically to help the moms, because she was a mom with kids with addiction issues. And so her target market is moms of kids with addiction problems. And so she has developed a fantastic business. I've worked on all of her marketing materials and her blog posts and all this stuff. And, she's put together a great business. Another one was a mom who is in New Zealand and loves her pets. She's got a couple of kids and a couple of pets. And didn't like everybody knows about all the pet food from China that's all contaminated and all that stuff. And she didn't think that was appropriate in her home, and she didn't want to give it to her pets. She didn't want it around her kids. So she started buying stuff from the United States. And she thought, well, she has a business background. These are products that are really great. Maybe other people would want them too. So she has started a business doing dog and pet treats and leashes and all this stuff that are imported from the US. And she has a gangbusters business that is all over New Zealand and Australia now, because she took her niche and her business knowledge, put them together, and she's got something cool. So it's just wherever you are and whatever you know and whatever you do and wherever your heart is, move forward with that. There's a business there.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I remember when I was first getting started and I was studying this particular marketer, and one of the niches that he had gotten into was a how-to product on how to deliver a eulogy, which it's a little, maybe a little dark, but you got to think about it. It's like I've never had to deliver a eulogy, but you want to do a really good job. I mean, you really want to honor someone. And if I was searching online and I was like, all right, I've got to do this now. And if there was a product that was like, boom, here's my 7-step formula for delivering like the perfect eulogy, if it's whatever, $30, $50, I'm there. It's like, cool, this is what I need, and I'm going to purchase it. And so there are almost an infinite amount of these niches that you can get into and bring your skills and knowledge and expertise. I think that's super cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So one thing I know that's been huge for you, and like you said earlier, sometimes life gets in the way, but consistency. I know consistency has been huge for your business. Would you like to share a few thoughts on kind of this year and how consistency has really impacted your results?
Sure. That was one of the very first things that I remember Tim Irway saying is consistency is the winner. You have to be consistent, and that things will snowball eventually. And it takes some time for a snowball to start and to grow bigger, but it happens. And if you are consistent and you're taking consistent action, you're moving forward and you're doing the things that you need to do to grow your business, all of a sudden that tipping point happens, and then it's like, boom, it's all there. And like I mentioned, now I've even got people trying to recruit me to do other things. And, I'm like, I became the expert in that niche. Not even, I set out to do a good job, and, that's where my heart was, is I know that I can help people and I know I can do a good job, but taking that consistent action has led to, all these other things happening. So it's so important over the long haul. You just have to commit and jump in and move it forward.
Yeah, no, it's very, very true. I know it's really hard when you're first starting to kind of see long-term, right? Because you're thinking very short-term. You're thinking, what do I need to do now? What are the results that I want to achieve now? And which is totally understandable. I mean, that's where everybody starts. But it's really, blogging is a strategy. We'll just use an example. Blogging is a very long-term strategy. It's a very powerful long-term strategy. But it's one of those things where, you can write a fantastic post, but if it's your first one, you're probably not going to get a lot of traction. It's something you just kind of have to keep moving forward with. And the next thing you know, you get a little bit of momentum, and then next it starts getting more and more and more. It starts getting exponential, and then pretty soon you've got this really rock solid, stable business, and it just came through that consistency. So it's one of those things you just kind of have to commit to, and you have to see, look around and see like, okay, does this work? Okay, clearly there are people that are doing this and it works. So you can see this is possible, and then just commit to the long term. And that's really how you're going to get where you want to go.
Yeah, that's true. I think the message that you have to take away, it's hard when the people that are held up are the people who are having massive success. And it really doesn't even matter if they're like, 60 days ago, I was here, I was in such a bad place, and I've taken consistent results, and, this is what happens. I think everybody kind of struggles to believe that they can have that same result. But you have to understand that you have to take the message away of, if it's possible for them, I can get there too. It may not happen tomorrow. It may not happen in 15 days, but I can get there. And that's what's important, because that's what we're all going for. I mean, the idea of a flash in the pan, I don't want a flash in the pan. I want, something that I can build and do for the long term. And, something that I can provide value long term and will be meaningful. I don't want to be starting over all the time. It's not any fun to start over. So, yes, there are times that you have to, but if you can start something and be consistent and look farther down the horizon and think, okay, I'm building something, and it's going to be great. And, I'm laying the foundation, and I'm taking the steps, and eventually the structure will rise, and it will be there, and I'll be so proud of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a marketer that I know I personally get a lot out of. I know a lot of us do. He was a speaker actually at one of our No Excuses events, and that's Gary Vaynerchuk. And one of the things that Gary says pretty often is, hey, if you're wanting to be an entrepreneur, you're wanting to pursue your passion, especially like what we're talking about here with, you're really branding yourself and building a business around your skill set. So it's like, if that's the kind of business you're building, well, are you going to give up after a month? Are you going to give up after 3 months? I mean, if this is something you can see yourself doing for the rest of your life, like how much, time are you willing to invest and put in to really create that stable foundation? Because as you mentioned, I don't think anyway, but I really don't think you want to be starting over and just having a flash in the pan and having to constantly reinvent yourself, and that just doesn't sound like the kind of business that you should want to build. So it's definitely something to think about.
Gary would say with a few more F words, but yes.
Yes, yeah, Gary definitely uses some colorful language, no doubt about that. One thing that you shared earlier as well that I really liked was you talked about how kind of during your learning phase, you were taking in a lot of information. Not all of that information applied in that moment to what you were doing, but as you continue to learn, as you continue to grow and implement and build your business, all of a sudden things that you learned and kind of tucked away, now all of a sudden they really applied and they really helped you have breakthroughs and really understand what you need to be doing in terms of structuring your business for the long term. Would you like to speak a little bit about that?
Sure. I've listened to so many webinars with Tim Irway talking, and talking about the 3 pillars of a business, and what you need to do to build, and I've taken pages and pages of notes. And when you're not implementing, it doesn't matter. But once you start implementing, this year I've talked about the amazing growth that I've had. And every time I've gotten to the next juncture where I'm like, okay, what's my next step here? And I'll have a little, hey, that's what you're supposed to do. And it'll be a little, Tim Irway phrase come to my mind about, this is the next step. And so, so I think people really need to understand that EMP is so valuable. There's so much information. So when you have a multi-million-dollar marketer from multiple markets who is telling you these are the keys, listen, like, shake you by the lapels, listen, this is what you need to know. And once you start taking action and get some momentum going, you may not be able to use it today, but tomorrow or in a week or month or 3 months, you'll go, oh yeah, that's what Tim said. Yep, got it. Time to use that. Time to pull that strategy out and make use of it.
No, I love it. I love it. As long as you're not completely overwhelming yourself to the point of, not taking action with information. I can think back to, gosh, I've been reading stuff on copywriting for just years and years now. And there are times where I'll go back to something that, perhaps I learned, 4 or 5 years ago. And all of a sudden it's like, now it directly applies to what I'm doing. I'm like, oh yeah, that, and it was this idea that didn't mean a lot to me at the time when I first encountered it, but now it's like, oh, that is exactly the piece of knowledge I need for this particular application. So as long as you're moving forward, as long as you're being consistent with, obviously your learning and also your implementation, you will find that all of these marketing principles and strategies will really benefit you in the long run. So I love that.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
Yep. And you know what, even one of the things that I just have been revisiting is the ignition training. I went through it in January and it meant a lot to me then, and now I'm going back to it. And that was one of the shifts that I went through. And it was as a result of the Smart Goals blog post. I went back to it and I was like, okay, there's the Robert Kiyosaki cash flow quadrant. Maybe it was a different blog post about the cash flow quadrant. And I was like, wow. Mm-hmm. I'm not at the point right now where I have, I'm a business. I'm not a business owner. I'm a freelancer and I'm self-employed, and I'm killing myself. And, unless I make a shift to being a business owner, there's not going to be a shift in my business that's going to make that change. So it was revisiting that thing from the Ignition program that made me realize, okay, now, little Tim Irway thing. Okay, this is how I make the shift to start becoming a business owner instead of a freelancer. And so, I was able to make that shift. And, I've had multiple of those kinds of things as I've gone back through the Ignition program, which is available to everybody for free. So
yeah, which is it's super cool. That's a really good example, because I can remember, I think it's when I was like a teenager, someone first introduced me to Robert Kiyosaki, and I remember checking it out and being, oh, this is really cool. And, it kind of made a certain amount of sense to me at that time, like, oh yeah, you want to be a business owner. But, I have to tell you, it obviously means a lot more to me now after I've, doubled my life experience, obviously. So yeah, these are, these principles and these strategies, these really high level ideas, you can come back to over and over again. And I'm sure in another 10 years, I could go back and, take the same information and be like, oh gosh, it means so much more to me now, which is really cool. So any final thoughts? I really appreciate your time. I've really enjoyed the conversation. Any final thoughts for folks before we sign off?
Let's see. I don't know. Just get going. Just start taking action wherever it is that you are today. Like I said before, wherever your heart is, whatever you're doing, whatever your interests are, just take action. Find a way to tie your marketing knowledge to whatever it is that you're doing, and take action with that. And it may not be huge today. It may be a small offer, and you may be working harder than you think you should for the money. But if it's the right path for you and you implement the lessons that you're learning, it will start to build, and it will pick up pace, and then you'll see, oh, well, now I could do this with it. Now I could do that. And pretty soon you'll have something that's really significant, and it's something that you care about. And that's really important. I think none of us, nobody wants to build something and then go, oh, I hate this. This isn't what I wanted. This is not who I am. This is not the people I want to be working with or the clients I want to be dealing with. Like, you don't want to start down that path. So, pick the path that you want and pursue it, and then enjoy it. And, then the hard work isn't as hard, because I do work hard, and I think everybody does. It's a successful business owner. They work really hard at it, but if you love it, it makes all the difference in the world. And then the rewards are that much sweeter. It's even more than the money that's coming in. You feel like, you're capitalizing on the things that you care about in life. And that's really cool. It's a cool place to be.
No, I love that, and it's like I mentioned before, we have so many talented people. And, our goal really here at Elite Marketing Pro is to create entrepreneurs, create business owners. And sure, when you first start out, it's like we want to give you the tools and offers and everything like that so you can leverage. But those are kind of like training wheels, like we really want you to grow and develop and not use our system as a crutch. We really want like, fully actualized entrepreneurs. And Danielle, I think you're an excellent example of someone who has taken, the knowledge that we provide, the Elite Marketing Pro University. I think that's cool. You've taken the knowledge and you've really done some amazing things with it, and you've really built a business around yourself and your expertise, and it's just very cool. It's very inspiring to see, and you've had a huge year, and it's super cool. I think it's awesome.
That's great. Well, thank you so much. It's always fun to chat, Andrew.
Very, very cool. All right, everyone. We'll see you again. We're highlighting some members of the community and showing what folks are doing in creating success in their business. So we'll do this again, and so we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.